Good morning. My name is Anna Jones, and I work here at Oak Mountain State Park, and I am the event coordinator. Yeah, so actually, it's so funny 10 years. I've almost been here a full 10 years. Next October will be 10 years for me as far as full time. So I actually, it's kind of crazy. So I went to Mississippi State University in Starkville, Mississippi, and I studied forestry and environmental conservation. So that's what I got my bachelor's in. I moved over here. I knew I wanted to work in parks. I just didn't know if that was going to look like a national park or a state park or really where that was going to end up for me. So I actually came over here to Birmingham, and this was the closest park. So I went ahead and applied, and they brought me on. And I originally started here just kind of like a generic, like staff member, and I was working in the campground. And then probably about 2, 3 months in, I was approached by our admin then, and they said, we really need someone to step in and take over this position for event coordination. It was something that really hadn't been done before, really that much in the park system, especially on our park on like a park level. So they kind of had this vision for it, and it was very broad. It was a very broad vision, which was actually kind of fun because I was able to kind of figure out what that was going to look like once I moved into the position. So we kind of created it, and it's grown to be what it is today. Okay. So I currently work at Oak Mountain State Park, and it is located inside Shelby County. We are the largest state park in Alabama. We are actually over 11,000 acres now with that new property addition. So that's incredible. That's one of our kind of biggest bragging points is just the sheer size of what we are able to offer as far as like recreational like opportunities. So being a large park, obviously, we are pretty well able to accommodate whatever type of recreation you're looking for. So if you want something more structured, like if you want to play basketball or do a round of golf, or if you wanted to get out on one of our lakes, we have three that are open to the public, and you can kayak, canoe, stand up paddleboard, things like that. So if you wanted something more structured, you're able to do those things, especially like our playground, all of. But on top of that, we also got so much just like natural green space. So if you wanted to kind of venture out away from those more structured kind of activities and opportunities that we offer, you can mountain bike, you can hike the trails, you can do horseback riding on our trails, and there are miles and miles. We have over 100 miles of trails total in our park currently, and we are constantly adding more. So you're able to kind of structure your visit to the park to really kind of fit what you're looking to do that day. Whether you wanted to like go to the beach and lay out and do something like that, or just get lost in the woods. You hike a little ways in, and it's just green space everywhere. You feel like you are in the middle of nowhere. So we do have a couple things that we offer here in the park that are an additional fee, but a ton of the stuff that we have is actually completely free and open to the public once you pay that entry fee. So we do have like boarding stables. You can board horses. You can also do the horseback riding, guided horseback rides. That's through the Rusted Roof Barn. They are phenomenal. It's family run. They're a phenomenal family. But that would be like an extra fee. The golf. So if you wanted to play golf on the Oaks course, that's an additional fee. And then obviously the marina rentals, like from Flipside, that would be an additional fee. Outside of that, we have an archery range open to the public. No additional fee there. Hiking, obviously, access to any of our trails is completely complimentary and free. Access to our playground is free. Access to the beaches are free. Use of our restrooms and changing areas are free. We have, let's see, goodness, what else? We have a BMX track, which is phenomenal. And a lot of people don't know about our BMX track. So you can absolutely go fishing. You do have to have a fishing license, though. So we don't charge you to fish here, but you do have to have a fishing license. So that's, yeah. Yeah, swimming obviously is free. We have sandy beaches. We have volleyball courts, basketball courts that are open to the public. Oh, our really great partners, the Alabama Wildlife Center. They actually have a like brick and mortar station here. It's a building, and they rehabilitate like orphan and injured like native Alabama birds. Here inside the park, which you can go and tour that center at any time. That's completely complimentary once you paid your entrance fee. We have our interpretive center here where we have tons of our educational ambassadors, which would be like our snakes, turtles, things like that, so that you can actually walk through a little museum, learn about some of our local ecology, what we have here in the park, and meet some of our local critters. That's also completely free once you pay entrance fees. So once you pay those entrance fees to get into the park, you really do have a ton of stuff that you can do. You can do a full day of activities and not have to put out any additional money. But if you did decide to do those specific few things like rent a kayak or stand up paddleboard or do the guided horseback riding, that would be an additional fee. But with that said, you're welcome to bring your own horses, no cost, just the entry fee and a negative Coggins, obviously. And then for like the stand up paddleboards, canoes, kayaks, boats, you're able to bring those in if you own them at no additional cost. There's no boat launch fee, no parking fee, anything like that, just entry fees. So it's called the Belcher Tract. We're absolutely thrilled. It's purchased by Forever Wild. And that is going to be a lot of people know King's Chair. So that's a very popular spot in our park. A lot of people know Lunker Lake. It's that upper back lake. So right in that area is where you can actually look up and you can see from Lunker Lake where that new addition begins. So you can actually see that new property that we're working on getting access to from our current park and then over off of 280. So we're working on getting access to that for our guests. We're so excited. Yeah. And, talking about Discover Shelby, Shelby County is an incredible partner and working hard to help us get that done. So, yeah, so we're excited. And then, from King's Chair, all of that, most of that acreage that you see from that gorgeous overlook, that's going to be accessible as well. That's part of that Belcher Tract. So we're just excited to expand and offer some new areas to our guests, couple lakes. It's going to be great. So we actually do have two different types of overnight accommodations. So one is going to be our campground, and we have two of those. One is our large main campground that's located off of Beaver Lake at that north end of the park. And the second campground, it's an equestrian campground that's 12 sites, and that's located at the south end of the park here at that front gate, closest to Pelham. And then another really outside of camping, our other overnight accommodations would be 10 cabins that are all situated around a private lake. It's Tranquility Lake, and it's absolutely beautiful. All of our cabins are 2 bedroom. There's 3 beds. They are all the same kind of floor plan and layout. So we don't really have a lot of options as far as like a 1 room cabin or a huge cabin. They're all the exact same. But they have been updated. We're getting them ready to go for another exciting year, 2024. New mattresses, new TVs, new furniture. We've really been pouring a lot of time and care into those cabins, and I think people are really gonna love them. Another big thing happening, you're talking about overnight stays, our campground. So we do still have the 12 equine sites open. So we do still have some availability for people to RV camp. And because our main campground is closed, we are allowing people to do like some overland camping or some tent camping in that area if they wanted to. It's just not as conducive to that as our main campground. But with that said, our campground, our main one, is currently closed for renovations. I think I posted a picture on social media on our Facebook page not that long ago of like some of the demolition that was happening of our old campground. And the amount of people that were so excited to see those old bathrooms go was just so funny. They're like, we're so glad these are gone. We're like, we are too. So this has been a project that has been in the works for a while, and we're finally seeing it happen. And we are just, gosh, we're so excited. So every site, so we're going to have tent camping, primitive tent camping. We'll have like improved tent camping where you've got access to like water, electricity on the site. Yes, I was an RV camper too. We had a little small RV before we got rid of that. So that was how we camped too. I was not a tent camper, but for people who love that, the sites are going to be completely renovated, brand new everything. So brand new like fire pits, grills, everything's going to be like re-leveled, fixed up, a nice little pad. Yes, it's going to be incredible. All of our RV sites, they're going to go up to 50 amp. They're all being widened, extended, repaved, fresh pavement. It's going to be incredible. We are so excited. Our estimated time to open, and this is all very tentative, is going to be Memorial Day of 2024. That's obviously depending on the weather for the construction team, but they have done an incredible job so far. It looks great. They're moving forward. And so hopefully we'll hit that target, but we may hopefully, fingers crossed, be a little bit earlier, but that Memorial Day is kind of our target. What the plan is, as far as like I'm aware, is that they're going to make that into like an off leash dog park area, and then potentially like a event space. I think that's kind of the vision, from my understanding, is what that's going to be. But that will be a project probably further in the future. We got to get this campground done for everybody. So as far as events, we host easily over 300, 350 events a year. But that's going to be kind of including everything. So some of that will be things that our interpretive staff put on themselves. So that's going to be that educational programming that we offer in-house. So that's some of the events that we have. Some are going to be like BMX races. Some will be trips for kids. We work with that organization. And so he has little field trips where he brings some kids out from inner city Birmingham and lets them learn to ride a bike. And he has a really cool program where, like, if they put in so many miles on a bike and work towards a bike, they get to keep one. So that anyway, we have really, really, it's incredible, right? So we actually, and I'll divert there a little bit. We have some really incredible people that come out here to host things that are just so community based and so community focused. I That's one of my favorite things about my job, is working with these incredible people. But oh, trips for kids. Yes, trips for kids. Doug Brown. Outside of that, we have a lot of things that we host. So I am one of two event coordinators here. It's going to be myself and then Chloe Funkhauser. And we work as a team to kind of create a couple events every year. So, like our Easter egg hunts, harvest festivals. We just did one about Critter Christmas. It was just a big Christmas party at the OMSE. So we actually will work together to create these throughout the year as well. So those are things that we host. Outside of that, there are so many organizations that come from the outside and they host things here with us in the park. And we're just kind of that liaison. We're that in between, like we protect the user from the resource from the user. So we're kind of that in between to make sure that everything is cohesive and going smoothly. Some things like really fun, like Pelham, the city of Pelham has their annual polar plunge coming up. That's fun. Obviously we have, bump and grind. We have a color run. We have a huge CrossFit competition like Mayhem on the Mountain. Goodness, I mean, honestly, if you think of it, we probably have hosted it. At least that a certain type. I mean, adventure racing. We have an adventure race coming up. Yes, this will be their second year. Yeah, so it's really, really fun. Last year was our first year hosting it, and it's basically just an introduction to people, and honestly, from across the nation. We saw people from across the nation last year, which isn't surprising for us because we do host Xterra and things like that. So we do see people from overseas and people from across the nation for our events. But people just poured in. They loved it. They had the best time. You just hike. So it's like a group hike. You can sign up individually and be teamed up with people, or just kind of like go like with a group if you would like. But you just hike. You just hike the park. There are aid stations. You kind of just hang out with people that are like-minded, have similar interests with you, and it's really fun. So you can kind of do what you want. They have different distances. Okay, so Xterra, that is one that comes back every year. We are extremely excited to have them back this year because they're kind of coming back in a big way, which there will be some announcements coming out soon. There have been some kind of slipped out already, but we're hoping to make a big splash with that. So Xterra is coming back. There is going to be two parts of that. One is going to be a triathlon that they do every year, and then they're going to have some trail running. So it is going to be some of the top athletes from across the nation, across the globe. It's always a really, really, really fun event. It's a great group of people that run that organization. They are a pleasure to work with, and we love having them in Oak Mountain. They are incredible partners. They are so supportive of the park. And really, everyone just has a really good time at that event. Um, on top of that, one thing that I've noticed with them, and I think that they would be okay with me saying this, is that they're kind of trying to shift a little bit to where it's not so exclusive, just like the topmost athletes. Like, yes, we will have them there competing, but it's also open to everyone. So come out and try. Come out and race with some of the best. Over 300 usually. I mean, I think it was over 300 for both days easily. I mean, Mammoth March last year was 1,200, I think, is where he capped it. Mayhem on the Mountain is over 800, and they try to cap it at 800. So, these aren't some of these events, we have like orienteering meets coming out. They can be like 20, 30 people, but we also accommodate things like Fire on the Water, which is the city of Pelham's annual fireworks show. And we usually see 8,000 to 10,000 people if the weather's good. So, I mean, we don't feel overwhelmed or crowded, right? You still feel really safe. They're fired off the dam on Double Oak Lake. So there's really a very small window based on our like very thick canopy here in the woods that you can actually see those fireworks. We get that question every year, like, where can we park to see them? And we're like, we wish you could, but you really do need to be kind of next to Double Oak Lake somewhere to be able to really see them and enjoy it to the fullest. So yeah, but that's a really fun partnership as well. That's one of our biggest fundraisers every year because we do see a really good, really beneficial spike in entry fees for that event. And as we eat what we kill in state parks, we're not really funded. Yeah, so we're a user-pay system. So those entry fees are incredibly important and beneficial for us to be able to do things like this campground renovation and to be able to keep employees here, to keep it nice and the grass cut and your bathrooms cleaned and things like that. Yes. Okay. So our entry fee is actually based per person and it varies in price based on age. So I'm going to break it down for you and you are going to know immediately that I've said this a million times. So ages 3 and under are free. Ages 4 to 11 are $2 each. Ages 12 to 61 are $5 each, and 62 and up are $2 each. We do take cash or card payment now, which is really exciting for us. That is fun. We have annual pass options. You can just purchase an annual pass. You can kind of calculate how many times you come to the park, see what you're paying, and see if it's worth it. It's easy. You just hold up your pass at the gate and keep going. So it does speed up entry a little bit. It is important to remember that all active military, retired military, and veterans are completely free. So we do, yeah, that's important to us. That's important for people to know. Yes. So we get that question a lot, and that's a really good question. There are no added benefits. It just covers entry fees to the park. There's no discounts, anything like that connected to it, and it's only good for our park. It's not a state pass. It is just for Oak Mountain State Park. So those are questions that we get very often. And we have 3 options of annual passes. One's an individual, one's a family, and one is a senior pass. So you just kind of sit down, calculate how many times you and your family are coming in, or just you, and just kind of see if it would be worth it. The main thing would be the added ease of just being able to hold up a pass, to not have to worry about having cash or a card, things like that. So, yeah, we're now over 11,000 acres, and this is all protected space. We are a wildlife sanctuary. So you will see all kinds of things. So you will see all types of birds of prey. So owls, hawks, those are kind of our most common that people see. Every now and then we'll have a bald eagle that makes its way up to that kind of like north end of the park, those 2 lakes. So we'll hang out and rest and eat before it takes off. Um, we have some really neat like herons. There's usually a family of blue herons that nest at the north end of the park. That's really fun to see. They make some interesting noises. We're going to have all types of mammals. So we have foxes, we have rabbits, we're going to have coyotes, we're going to have field mice, all kinds of things, snakes, all types of snakes. We have deer, of course. Yes, we have deer. And then we're going to have, gosh, some salamanders, Fish, girl, we've got everything. We don't have any black bears. That's one thing we get asked a lot. That is the question. We get that a lot. We do not have any black bears. It's possible that some have come through, but we don't have any like dens or active dens or anything. And then another question we get asked a lot is, do we have alligators and do we have sharks? I know, but we do not. We do not have either. So if you see one in our lakes, please let us know. So that's always a fun one. The role that I play in the park to me is trying to get exposure. So, like, I do a lot of social media, I do a lot of the promotions and stuff like that for the park. I'm always working to try to bring people in and increase exposure. So, when I drive through the park, just driving through the park, and I see people recreating, I see them with their families or by themselves or walking their dogs or participating in something as like a team sport. Um, it's really special because whether I really have or not, I feel like maybe I played a role in getting them out here and getting them to the park and helping them experience this and get more exposure to nature, the outdoors, and create some of those memories that do last a lifetime. I mean, these are things people don't forget. We have people come visit us all the time that talk about, when they used to come back or come to the park in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, and they'll talk about these memories, and it feels really special to be able to drive through the park and look at these families, look at these people, and know that they're making those memories, and to know that maybe I played a little part of that. That's really special, and that makes it really worthwhile and rewarding. So it's honestly my favorite my favorite thing to do is just honestly driving through the park and people watching. I like the treetop nature trail because I really like animals. I really like animals. I like that it's accessible. But I really like the raised kind of boardwalk element. You're like in kind of in like the treetops, like the canopy. I love that. I love that feeling of just being like elevated. And then I like looking at all the animals and like, rereading their stories and saying hi to Princess and just checking on everybody. So like, we do have kid camp that comes in every year. That's like a summer camp. So we had kid camp that comes in, and they actually do a really great summer camp, really well structured. They get exposure to kind of like all the different spaces and elements here in the park. That's a really fun one. The AWC actually hosts camps, all, different times of the year, but usually summer camps for sure. That's a really fun one. Sometimes we host like the gross out camps, where the kids get to come. So fun, right? So we will host those too. And then obviously just our generic programming. We're able, I say we, our interpretive staff is incredible, like some of the best in the state, hands down. And I may be a little biased, but I don't think so. I think they're genuinely incredible. And they are able to kind of tailor their programming to the age of the audience. So kids are more than welcome to come to that. They can kind of speak on their level, help them understand, and learn more about the environment. And more than anything, they're able to kind of instill, in some of our the younger generation, how important it is to take care of your environment and to be a steward, of your state park. And that's really special too. But that would be kind of like not really camps, but that is a lot of programming that's available for kids. So we have tons. We have tons to do. Tons. My favorite place to visit outside of the park is probably American Village. I love it. I love that place. I think it's incredible. I always go to the Festival of Tulips. We always go there, and we usually stop by on Memorial Day, like after the Memorial Day service, at the cemetery right down the road. We usually will swing by after that for their observance that day. We love walking the grounds. It's so pretty, and we love going in all the buildings. In fact, my partner, we signed him up to be drafted for the Revolutionary War one time. They've yet to call. Yes, they've yet to call and take him, so I'm gonna need them to get on that. Um, but it was that was really fun. That was a really fun experience.